Looks good.
Okay, so you can see it.
Yep.
Okay, I punch okay up here. So, good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I have my roots in working with children for 40 plus years, and they're near and dear to my heart. And this is a topic that has become near and dear to my heart because there just never are enough resources to go around, and we always need to look under every stone to try and find them. I was asked to really talk about how we encourage local partners to invest in our kids, and I'm going to focus a lot on that, but also talk a little bit about where some of the bigger funds are. Okay, so it is not advancing. So what am I not doing right? It did not advance. I'm sorry. You get the least technological person here. Let me see if this does better.
Yeah, you might be able
Okay,
to go through them
so
that way.
slideshow from current slide. It's not it's not letting me do that either. What am I not doing?
Well, if you're relying on me for answers, then I am the second most
I have a
technologically
security
enabled
alert. What
person.
is that? Okay.
You didn't click from the beginning that
There you
last
go.
time. You clicked from the current slide or something.
There it worked.
There you
Okay.
go. Excellent.
There we go. I apologize, everybody. Um, so I I think it's really important that we talk about context first, that you don't just talk about this is where money is. So when I think about context, I thought it would be good to share with you the formula that I think works best. And I think it's when you combine science. And when I talk about science, I'm talking about both philosophy and the science of whatever an evidence-based or evidence-informed practice is. And when you can combine that with a lived experience, a testimony, or something from a family or a child, that's when you're able to really build a good business case that people are interested in investing in. If you go and just give like a bleeding heart story and you don't have anything that a backdrop for it, it's less compelling. If you can give them good, solid foundation, then share, okay, here's a situation or example of how it works, then you're giving them a better opportunity to make that kind of investment. In Hancock County, the framework that we use is ROSC, which is a recovery oriented system of care. And we have done an overlay of what that model is in relationship to system of care. So you have puzzle pieces on here. If the philosophy of ROSC is similar to if you think about a puzzle that has a frame, and you can think about that frame, whether it's around a city, a county, a neighborhood, it doesn't really matter. But if you frame in there a place for everybody to belong. So it's kind of saying, okay, this is the boundaries we have around who we're trying to serve. There's a place for everyone that lives in that boundary, and there's a role for everyone to play. And so the reason why we do that is to be able to demonstrate that it becomes the responsibility of an entire community, whatever that boundary is, to take care of the individuals that are in there. While we can send somebody to treatment for care, people recover in a community, they recover in their home, where they work, where they play, where they live. And so it's very important that if this is not your framework, or if you just want to use the system of care framework, that you have some kind of framework to be able to hang everything else on so that you can lay the groundwork for your business case. So I was asked to talk about the idea of talking about both funding of services and supports. When you think about funding services, I put the just in parentheses the idea of evidence informed. It can be evidence based, whatever. Basically, what I'm saying is everything should be driven by science. Sometimes most of the time when it comes to working with people, there are a lot of people that think they know what to do intuitively. And I think that they forget that there really is a science to the practice that we have. And so I think it's really important that we continue to share with people the science behind what we want to do, whatever service that is. When you look at local partners when it comes to funding, you see single stars there. The single stars there represent the largest entities in your community that have discretionary spending. Any local foundation has discretion over any kind of funds that they want to put. In our community, we actually have a mental health fund at the community foundation, and they do grants every quarter. A United Way has discretionary funding. Any dollars that you raise philanthropically through donations or fundraising are discretionary. Businesses have discretionary funds that they can put into your services. Places like Walmart do things. We have in our community a place, Hancock Wood Electric, but a lot of your larger businesses, we have a marathon that gives money. Signature Foods is a grocery store. We have restaurants that contribute. So think about businesses in your community and finding out if you're making a cold call, making sure you have your business case. A lot of businesses, because they get approached so often, have some kind of a grant format that they want you to follow. And then I added Ohio Rise there about discretionary spending, only in that Ohio Rise is a Medicaid benefit plan that has some extended benefits. So you have to be enrolled and eligible for Ohio Rise, but there are some flexible services that you can, and flexible spending that you can apply for, assuming that child is eligible under Ohio Rise. The other entities that I have listed below may also have discretionary spending, but I gave them 2 stars because often they will be partners in shared agreements. If you have a child that needs to be placed out of a home for a period of time or needs some kind of extra thing that is the way we frame it as therapeutically indicated, but not otherwise available in the community. These are usually the entities in the community that will come together and do some kind of shared funding. And that would be your job and family services / child welfare, your mental health boards, your developmental disability boards, and your juvenile court. Now, I I kind of divided it between these are your typical suspects, but if you want a really deep well related to trying to fund services, you really need to look at federal and state grants, because otherwise there's not a large deep well in services. The deep well really exists when it comes to supports, because children and families are good investments and good business cases. And I put the risk and protective factors model on there for you. If you're not familiar with that, there are risk behaviors that you could expect from any child, potentially any child, whether that be mental health, delinquency, teen pregnancy, any kind of risk behavior. And then there are protective factors that mitigate that risk. And the more protective factors you have, the less likely you are to engage in that risk behavior. There's only one protective factor that cuts across every single risk factor. And that protective factor is pro-social, opportunities for pro-social engagement. And that is a huge call to action that you can put in every part of your community and get them to invest in children. Now, in our community, we again have a specific framework that we apply to that so that we can uh, use science as our base. We use the Youth Thrive framework. The Youth Thrive framework was developed by the Center for the Study of Social Policy. And I have a picture of a child kind of going through a door, coming out as a happy adult. What the Center for the Study of Social Policy did is they looked at all of the protective factors that exist, and they then looked at children who have come through foster care systems, incarceration, residential treatment, uh, any kind of multi-system youth involvement, and kind of said, what are the protective factors that are the most impactful in getting those youth to the other side uh, positively? So those five factors are youth resilience, that social connections you see again, because again, that cuts across every risk factor that exists, knowledge of adolescent development, concrete support in times of need, and cognitive and social emotional competence. So we use that framework when we go to looking at how do we get that support for kids in our community. And so think of the support by coming from different systems. So if you took your community and divided it by systems and think, okay, well, we have service providers, education systems, business system, law enforcement, so on and so forth. And then think, how can I challenge that system to get involved with our kids? Often those systems are less interested in investing in a treatment service that you want to offer and more interested in offering a support for those children. So remember at the beginning when I talked about how important it is that you're building that support for that youth throughout the community, not just individual services. So I just have some examples of things that different systems in our community have stepped up to do that support our multi-system kids. So I have service providers listed. Number one, any of you who are on here that are service providers, you have my endless gratitude for what you do for each and every child that you touch. You're responsible for the main implementation of everything. These other things I'm talking about truly are about support. So, for example, our high school developed an Oasis, which is a calming room for any students that are struggling with regulation. They can take time out and go into the Oasis to calm down before they re-enter into a classroom. We have a PBIS store in our middle school. Our businesses raise dollars. They don't support a specific event like I said, like Signature Foods. They contribute a big check to us every year. Marathon does a golf outing, and you're able to go and say, this is what we would use the funds for. Our service clubs, like our Rotary, they fund a Student of the Month program, and they deliberately recognize students that are in our tech prep programs, not in our traditional high school. They support our loft, which is our alternative peer group, our youth recovery center. The Fraternal Order of Police, they sponsor evenings and events for our kids to try and give the children positive exposure to criminal justice, as opposed to often our multi-system kids get involved with criminal justice at a negative experience. We're trying to give them that positive exposure. Our developmental disability system helps us do respite services. We have like a parent advisory committee that helps us with feedback and input on what would be a good support to have in place. They provide volunteers. Our faith-based community helps us fund a camp for youth that are impacted by addiction. We're now at the point in our country that 1 in 4 youth have been impacted by addiction. So we operate a camp for them. It's put together by our faith-based community, our homeless shelter, a little bit by our mental health board, our Big Brothers Big Sisters agency to help support the kids. And then after the pandemic, we spent a lot of time with our foundation and again reviewed some of the science and the protective factors and said, like, the best thing that we could do for our youth who are struggling is get them out, give them these pro-social opportunities. And what they did is they put together a Fun for All initiative, and they sponsor, like they'll buy out a swimming pool, for example, and any kid can go for free, or they'll do that for a movie theater, or they'll do it for a show at our performing arts center so that we can get kids exposed to different opportunities without having to worry about funds, and they get that pro-social aspect. So these are kinds of ways that we need to think about getting our communities to provide support to our multi-system kids. So, looking at my clock here, 11:56, I only got 4 minutes. So one of the things that I want to leave you with, and I hope it's coming across in the way I'm speaking, is that the best way you can leverage resources in your community is that you are able to understand and communicate the why. Why do we need this? Give them that wonderful business case, share with them that personal experience from lived experience, and you will have success. And I don't know how many of you have seen this video, but I think it's much more expressive than I can be about the importance of understanding your why. And I think we're going to have to listen to a commercial first. This is a little commercial because I don't know how to get rid of that.
Trish, I don't know if you've hit play or not, but we're not hearing anything.
I'm sorry.
I said, I don't know if you've hit play on it or not, but we're not hearing anything.
Oh, shoot. Let's see. Shoot.
Probably one of those things where
Uh,
you have to share sound,
Wait a minute. Um,
which on my Zoom screen I click, and I think sometimes they look different.
okay.
Oh, now you're not sharing your screen anymore.
I can't stop it. I'm so embarrassed. I'm sorry.
Maybe you can just act it out.
I don't know if I can.
Precia, let me give it a go for a second for you. Hold on 1 second.
Of course, you practice it 10 times and then it doesn't come.
It's a good example in being adaptive on your feet.
Ah, I don't know. I'm so embarrassed.
Nothing to be embarrassed about.
It happens to us all.
I don't know why it's not playing.
How do I know? A lot of people, when they think of the phrase, how do I know, they always want to put the what behind it. How do I know what I'm supposed to do? The question that you really should ask is, how do I know why?
Sorry.
I'm here? Because when you know your why, your what becomes more clear and more impactful. If you know, like for instance, people know that I do comedy, but that's what I do. My why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. So I can do comedy, I can write books, I can be in a movie, because all of it is motivated by my why. In fact, I have a new web series out called Michael Jr. Break Time. We probably just did the 6th episode. It's on YouTube. So every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode on YouTube of Michael Jr. Break Time. What it is it's me. I travel around the country and I do stand-up comedy, in case you didn't know. And in the middle of my comedy set sometime, I'll stop and just talk to my audience.
Can you hear it?
And we've been filming this, and it's pretty cool. So we're in Winston-Salem. I'm gonna show you a clip from Winston-Salem. And I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, and he tells me that he's a musical instructor at a school. So I was like, all right, you're a musical instructor, can you sing? Let me hear you sing a song. So this is what happened at the last episode of Michael Jr.'s Break Time. Check it. So you're a musical director? Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now, right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
Let's go. Now. Okay. Here's what I want you to catch. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what becomes more impactful because you're walking towards or in your purpose.
So I am so sorry for that complication.
It's
But the
okay,
bottom
and I
line,
hate I hate to follow that guy in his singing.
yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say is if if your business case is good, if you know why you're doing something and you've got the science and you can combine it with this is what we want to do, that's a very compelling way to get resources in your community. And that is a very compelling narrative to put in any grant that you try and write to bring resources into your community. So with that, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and I hope you were able to get a little something out of that today. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Precia.